Why do you get aroused and then lose your erection right before penetration? If this has ever happened to you, you probably remember the moment very clearly. Everything was going fine. You were aroused. Your body responded normally. The erection was there. Things were progressing naturally. And then suddenly, right when penetration was about to happen, it disappeared. And in that exact second, your brain probably went into panic mode. What just happened? Why did it go soft? Is something wrong with me? And the worst part is that once it happens, many men start worrying that it will happen again. That fear alone can make the problem even more likely the next time. So today, we're going to talk about why this happens. Not in a judgmental way, not in a dramatic way. Just the real reasons this situation is extremely common and what your body is actually doing in that moment. Because in many cases, this is not a permanent problem. It's not a sign that your body is broken, and it often has a very clear explanation. First, let's understand something important. An erection is not just about arousal. Many people assume erections are simply a switch. You get excited, the erection appears, and that's it. But physiologically, erections are a complex interaction between your brain, your nervous system, your blood vessels, your hormones, and your psychological state. For an erection to happen and stay firm, your body needs to stay in what's called the parasympathetic state, the rest and relax mode of the nervous system. This is the state where blood vessels open, circulation increases, and the body allows sexual function to occur naturally. But the moment anxiety, pressure, or sudden stress enters the picture, your nervous system can switch into sympathetic mode, the fight or flight response. And when that switch happens, the body redirects blood flow away from sexual organs and toward survival systems. In simple terms, anxiety shuts erections down, and right before penetration is one of the most common moments for anxiety to appear. Many men don't even realize it's happening, but their brain suddenly starts asking questions like, am I going to last long enough? What if I lose my erection? What if I disappoint her? What if something goes wrong? These thoughts may last only a second, but physiologically, they can be enough to disrupt the erection signal. Your brain essentially hits the brakes. This is why the erection can disappear suddenly, even if everything was working perfectly moments before. Now let's talk about another factor that many men underestimate: pressure. When intimacy is building, everything can feel relaxed and natural at first, but the moment penetration becomes imminent, the brain sometimes shifts from pleasure to performance. Instead of simply experiencing the moment, the mind starts evaluating itself. Now I have to perform. That shift changes the chemistry in your body. Adrenaline rises, muscles tighten, blood vessels constrict, and the erection signal weakens. Ironically, the more you want the erection to stay, the harder it becomes for the body to maintain it. There's another very common factor here: overstimulation and desensitization. Modern men are exposed to levels of visual stimulation that didn't exist in previous generations. Constant novelty, intense imagery, and frequent artificial stimulation can change how the brain responds to arousal. Some men notice that erections are strong during masturbation or while watching highly stimulating material. But during real intimacy, the brain struggles to maintain the same level of excitement. This doesn't mean there is something physically wrong with the body. It often means the brain has become conditioned to a certain type of stimulation that real-life situations don't replicate. And when the moment of penetration arrives, the brain suddenly drops the arousal signal. Another factor that can play a role is circulation. Erections depend heavily on healthy blood flow. If blood vessels are slightly impaired because of high blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, high cholesterol, or sedentary lifestyle, the erection may still appear initially, but it can be more fragile. That means it may fade more easily when the body experiences stress, movement, or distraction. This is why sometimes men notice that the erection was present during foreplay, but disappears when penetration begins. It doesn't necessarily mean severe erectile dysfunction, but it can be an early sign that circulation could be improved. Sleep and fatigue also matter more than most people realize. If your body is exhausted, sleep-deprived, or dealing with chronic stress, testosterone levels and nervous system balance can shift. In that state, erections may still happen, but they become less stable and more sensitive to interruptions. Alcohol is another common trigger. Many people think alcohol helps relaxation during intimacy, but physiologically, alcohol is a depressant. It interferes with nerve signals and blood flow. So while alcohol may increase the feeling of confidence, it can simultaneously weaken the physical mechanisms needed to maintain an erection. That's why this situation often happens during nights that involve drinking. Now here's the most important part. What happens after the first time? For many men, the biggest issue isn't the initial episode. It's what the brain learns from it. If the experience was embarrassing or stressful, the mind can start anticipating the same outcome the next time intimacy begins. And that anticipation creates anxiety even before anything has gone wrong. This creates a loop. You worry it might happen. Anxiety rises. Erection becomes less stable. The problem happens again, which reinforces the fear. Breaking that cycle is often the key to solving the issue. And this is why understanding what's happening in your body can be so powerful. Because when men realize that this situation is extremely common and often temporary, the pressure immediately decreases. Your body works best when it feels safe and relaxed, not when it feels evaluated. Now let's talk about some practical things that can help. First, reduce the pressure on the moment of penetration. Intimacy should not feel like a performance test. When couples slow down and focus on connection instead of achievement, the nervous system stays in the relaxed state needed for erections to stay stable. Second, pay attention to lifestyle factors. Better sleep, regular physical activity, improved cardiovascular health, and stress management all improve the biological systems involved in erectile function. Your penis is heavily dependent on vascular health, so habits that improve circulation directly improve erectile stability. Third, avoid relying on alcohol during intimacy. Confidence that comes from alcohol often backfires physiologically. Fourth, if overstimulation from artificial sources may be playing a role, reducing exposure for a few weeks can help reset sensitivity for some men. And finally, if this problem happens frequently or becomes persistent, it's always a good idea to speak with a medical professional. Sometimes small underlying issues, like hormone imbalances, vascular health, or medication side effects, can contribute. Addressing those factors early can make a huge difference. But remember this, experiencing this situation occasionally does not mean you have erectile dysfunction. It does not mean your masculinity is failing, and it certainly does not mean your body cannot function normally. In many cases, it simply means your brain briefly switched from pleasure mode to performance mode. And the moment you remove that pressure, the body often returns to doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now, I'm curious about something. Many men experience this at least once in their lives, but very few ever talk about it openly. So tell me honestly in the comments, did this ever happen to you during a stressful moment or after a long day when you were simply exhausted? And if you want more clear, honest explanations about men's health, the things nobody explains properly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because in the next video, we're going to talk about another situation men quietly worry about. Why erections can be strong when you're alone, but unreliable with a partner.